well, I'm sorry, can you do less of that? Can you feel less joyful? Can you have less welfare and prosperity? That's just not going to work. So think back in the 1950s in Los Angeles. It was terribly polluted, mostly from cars. The standard environmental approach would be to tell people, I'm sorry, could you drive a little less or maybe stop driving at all? Of course, that was not actually on the agenda. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get people on board with that. What did solve a very large part of the air pollution problem in Los Angeles was the catalytic converter. It was an innovation that you put on your car and then basically it pollutes a lot less. Now, it has a cost, but it's an okay cost compared to the immense benefit you get. The trick here is to recognize if we can innovate the price of green energy down below fossil fuels, we can solve global warming. But as long as we keep telling everyone, especially China and India and Africa, I'm sorry, you just got to be poor because we can't actually make you rich while you don't emit a lot more CO2. That's never going to work. What we need to do is to invest a lot more in innovation to get green energy to be cheaper than fossil fuels. Once we reach that, everyone will switch, not just rich, well-meaning Americans, but also Latin America, Africa, everybody else. And so your point to the hydrogen car, that may very well be the solution. Remember, there are lots of people out there who believe that they know what is going to power the rest of the 21st century, and all of them are still too expensive, hydrogen car included. But the point is, we should invest a lot more in the research of those, because we just need one or a few of those technologies, and those are the ones that will then power the 21st century.
I mean, everything changes when we can get the right battery. Everything changes.
Yeah.
And we should be spending all of our money on research in batteries, and then looking for things like hydrogen cars that could be coupled with those batteries, and then the problem is solved. I don't understand how people can block every single thing, and then to say wind power, which is so far away from reality, and the land alone that it would take just to build enough windmills for a third of our energy need would be a third of the country almost. It's ridiculous. And I mean, you're so full of common sense. If this was the green energy movement, what you talk about here was the green energy movement, we would all be in lockstep. But I gotta believe that you have been called a climate denier and science denier every step of the way as well, even though you're not disagreeing with any of their science.
Oh, of course. Now, a lot of people find it's a lot easier to argue by just calling me names than actually engaging in this conversation. And of course, the real surprise is, if you really, really worry about global warming, why have you been proposing the same solutions at scale for the last 30 years? If you really think this is the end of the world, is that a smart move? Of course, you need to find better ways to fix this. I hope it's going to be a little bit more technology agnostic than you are, because obviously some people believe very much in batteries. Some people believe very much in hydrogen cars. Other people, like Craig Venter, the guy who cracked the human genome back in 2000, he's arguing that we should put out algae on the ocean surface that grow oil from sunlight and CO2. How cool would that be? We'd basically be able to keep our entire fossil fuel economy, but we power it with oil that we just produced and hence would be CO2 neutral. Again, there are lots of these ideas. All of them are not cost effective right now, which is why they haven't taken over the world. But the point is, research and development can make that difference, and it just needs to make a difference for one of these many technologies. Most of them will fail. That's fine. We just need one or a few of them to come through. And that's why I think we need to challenge people who are very, very worried and tell us we're going to spend trillions of your money on ineffective solutions. No, look, you have the right problem, but you're fixing it badly and you're wasteful with the money. Let's do it smartly through innovation and make sure that we actually find something that will not just work for rich, well-meaning Americans, but for everyone on the planet.
Is socialism the way to go? Will that help?
Well, clearly it's not. I mean, I think we've already sort of found out. We need some sort of managed capitalism, as we have in most countries in the world. But the idea is to recognize what solves most problems is not wringing your hands or making commands that dictate on what you need to do. It is innovation. Think back in the 1970s, we worried about the fact that there would be almost no food for India and Africa. The solution was not to tell people in the rich world, I'm sorry, could you stop eating so much and send it to the Indians? The solution was the Green Revolution, that we found a way to make much more food, much cheaper, much more effectively for Indians, which is why India today has not had a huge hunger catastrophe. They're actually the world's leading exporter of rice because of innovation, instead of just telling people you're doomed and we got to do with less.
And also, I would add, silencing of people with dissenting opinions. We need everybody thinking and working and being free to be able to work on their own style solutions, because it could come from somebody we least expect. Bjorn Lomborg, thank you very much. The name of the book is False Alarm, How Climate Change Panic Costs Us Trillions, Hurts the Poor, and Fails to Fix the Planet. These books that are coming out by Bjorn and also by Michael Schellenberger, they need to be read to your teenagers. You need to give them to your teenagers, because your teenagers are being filled with all kinds of despair. And the truth is that despair is a lie. Bjorn, thank you so much. We'll talk again.
Great to talk to you.
People all over America are discovering now what a joy it is to cook on a Rectech, and they're talking about it on social media, from pro tips to reviews to recipes for just about anything you would think about cooking on your Rectech, and a lot of things that I would have never thought of. We just cooked some ribs on the grill over the weekend. They were so good, and my wife was putting, I don't even know what it was, and I'm like, what is that? She's like, it's a Rectech recipe.